Hello and welcome to the Horsemanship and Mindset podcast with your host, Kimberly Dunn of Idlewild Horsemanship and Mindset Coaching. This podcast is here to bring you the very best in tips, tricks, and advice to help you better understand yourself, your mindset, and your horse, because your horsemanship starts with you. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Horsemanship and Mindset podcast. I am delighted, as always, to have you here. If you are new here, welcome. Also, before I dive into today's episode, I just want to say I've been looking at the listening stats and the locations that people are listening from, and it's just so cool to see the wide variety of listeners that I have from all over the world, and even countries that I did not think would want to be listening to podcasts. So if that's you, hello. And as I've just said, I'm delighted to have you here. And I really hope that you are getting what you need from, well, all of you, that you're getting what you need from this podcast. I hope you enjoy listening. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And if you're listening and you would like to spread the love, then please share it with friends. Because seeing the podcast grow is something that brings me great joy, and I love helping people. I love helping people better understand themselves and their horses. So please share away, and thank you again for being here. So without further ado, let's dive into today's subject of the podcast. So if you have been anywhere near social media recently, which quite frankly is all of us, isn't it? You'll have seen, especially if your horse feed, if your social media feed is, calibrated to horsiness, then you will have seen things or posts talking a lot about horse welfare, talking about better training methods and kinder training methods. Maybe you've seen things about conflict behaviors, and posts about learning to listen to our horses, which is a really positive thing, and I'm so here for it. I'm so here for the turning of the tide in that department, and us becoming more aware of our horses, working with our horses instead of trying to make them work for us. I'm here for it. And I believe personally that we should always be asking ourselves how we can be better partners for our horses, 100%. But there is one huge piece of the puzzle that I do not hear or see anybody talking about. And without it, we are only solving half of the problem, because you got to remember here, there's two of us in this partnership. And horse welfare, us thinking of our horses and being that better partner for our horses, doesn't begin when you pick up the reins or you pick up that halter and lead rope. It begins with the state of the human standing next to the horse. Da, 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 mic drop. That is what I'm talking about today, because it's so important and it's so overlooked. Okay, so horses do not just respond to what we do. Horses respond to who we are in the moment that we are with them, okay? In the moment that we're stood next to them or in front of them, or we go to catch them from the field or the paddock. So before you've even clipped on that lead rope, before you've put your foot in the stirrup and you've jumped on board, your horse has already gathered information about your breathing, about any tension in your muscles, in your posture, how you're holding yourself, in your energy, and whether or not your nervous system feels calm, or whether it feels overwhelmed or frustrated or anxious or irritated, any of those things. And important thing for me to say at this point. This isn't, especially if you're new here. If you're an old timer here, then you'll know what I'm on about. But this isn't some like magical, mystical woo horse whispering concept, although I'm here for the woo. I'm here for it. It's neuroscience, and it's neuroscience for horses and for humans, because both of us, both species, are social mammals. Not only that, we obviously need to be highly tuned into our environments to survive. But because we're social animals, our nervous systems are constantly communicating with other beings around us. And your horse isn't reading your thoughts as much as we would all love to communicate via some magical bond in our mind. And if you read any of the Fourth Wing books, like and where the dragons and the riders are like in tune with each other through a bond, like how cool would that be? How cool would that be? Sadly, and if you haven't read Fourth Wing, people, run, don't walk to go buy Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. And if you go back quite a few episodes, you will hear me talking about books and reading and how much I love fantasy, romantasy books. If you're not on board, you must be. So go buy the book now. Go. And then come back. Anyway, I digress in a very random direction there. However, coming back, pulling it back. So your horse isn't reading your thoughts, sad times, but what they are doing is reading your physiology, okay? And that is why two people can ride the exact same horse in the exact same reader. Oh, flipping heck. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my brain today. It must be because it's a full moon and it's hot and my brain is melting. So bear with me. Okay, so two people can ride exactly the same horse in exactly the same arena, using exactly the same techniques in exactly the same conditions, okay, and get completely different outcomes. And that isn't, before you start shaming yourself, because I know that's where everybody's minds are going to go straight to, that's not because one of them is a better rider than you or more experienced or just cooler in every way. It is because they bring a totally different emotional state to the interaction. A lot of the times that is all it is, okay? Which is crackers, but true. So one thing I see and hear all of the time is that riders, equestrians, believe that they're helping their horse by pushing through their own fear. So by just getting on with it, by just biting the bullet and doing it, by cracking on and jumping the jump or whatever. And by pushing through their own fear, by the way, I don't mean stretching your comfort zone, because that's a whole other thing where you break things down and build them up. That's a great way to do it. What I mean is by like jumping off a flipping cliff, trying to be brave. So you think that, you just need to be braver, or you just need more confidence, or you just need to stop being silly. This is a big one. Everybody, and any new client I have comes to their first session and is like berating themselves. Oh, I just need to stop being so stupid. I just need to stop being so silly. I keep doing this really stupid thing. And you like really, really are quite horrible to yourself. No, stop that. Change your language, because it is just a survival response, okay? But fear changes everything. So when we're anxious, our brain becomes focused on survival rather than connection, okay? So, and that again is a mental mechanism that we have to survive. So our brain becomes focused on survival, and it doesn't matter how hard you try. When you are activated like that, when you are in survival mode, you can't talk yourself out of it, because your body is now locked in to, I just need to survive this moment. So any logical thinking, it's not there. Okay. So because your brain is focused on that survival, you're not going to be able to connect with your horse. There's just no way. Not only that, your horse is then picking up on that. And then so they start thinking, oh, do I need to be worried? And then the potential increases for them to also be in survival mode. And then everything perpetuates and it's just not fun. So what happens is we tend to hold our breath. We will grip tighter. We will react quicker. We'll be more jumpy. We'll notice threats more easily. We'll lose the feel that we would all be liking to have. We rush decisions. We become inconsistent. So inconsistent in what we're asking, in how we're asking, in how we're with the timing of our reward or our release becomes really inconsistent. And none of those things that I've just mentioned create safety for the horse. They create a blurry grey area that they don't understand, that, and an environment and an energy that they do not feel safe in. Okay. And although, obviously I talk a lot about confidence, mindset, and mindset coaching and all the rest of it. And while it's often just seen as something that is purely for the rider and for their own kind of welfare, I would actually argue that it's a horse welfare issue too. Because, and stick with me on this, because a regulated rider makes better decisions. A regulated rider communicates more clearly. A regulated rider notices more, responds rather than reacts. That's a really important one. They create consistency. Again, really important one for your horse. They create predictability. Really important one for your horse. All of those things are going to help your horse to feel safe, to be able to relax, to be able to thrive in your company. Okay? Now, please know that I am not saying every problem that your horse might be having right now, or your horse might not be having a problem, you know what I mean, in general, that it's all because of the human. Of course, that is not the case. Of course, it's not the case. Because, we have pain. Pain exists. Poor saddle fit exists. Training gaps exist. Physical issues exist. Your horse's conditioning prior to you owning them, the experiences they've had, they might have a lack of trust in human because of experiences they've had, etc., etc. All of that exists and contributes to that. I'm not trying to BS you into thinking, oh, it's definitely me and my mindset. This is an element of it, and it's an important element of it too. Horse welfare means you looking at the whole picture, at every little facet of your horse's life, doing your best. But often we will focus on all of those other things that I've just mentioned, but not take into account, oh, what am I bringing to the table here? And we cannot keep talking about improving horse welfare, and kinder ways of training and kinder ways of being with our horses, while completely ignoring the emotional well-being of the person handling the horse, because they are the other half of the partnership. That's how important it is. So, having said all that now, given you all of that information and hopefully shifted a bit of perspective around this, I want to now share with you 3 things that you can start doing right away if you want to. Because, as you know, I don't like to just kind of tell you about things and then not give you something that's actually going to be helpful so you can go away and, make some changes or better understand yourself or your horse. So, if you are wondering where to start, here are 3 simple and super easy things that you can do that are going to help you out. So, number 1, start noticing your own body before you notice your horse's. So, I don't know, before you go catch them in, when you arrive at the yard or the barn, before you get out of your car, or before you are going to clip your lead rope on your horse, or maybe before you're going to jump on. Notice your own body before you notice your horse's. So take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Notice your jaw, relax your jaw, drop your shoulders, and ask yourself in that moment, what state am I bringing into this interaction? Not, oh, what's wrong with my horse? Oh, what's he looking at? But what am I communicating before I even touch them? Before I clip that lead rope on, before I put my foot in the stirrup? what am I bringing to the table here? Number 2, stop making confidence the goal. Confidence is something that comes and goes. Safety is what we're actually looking for. Okay. So instead of asking, how do I feel more brave? How do I feel more confident? Ask, what would help my nervous system feel safer right now in this moment? Because that is a much simpler answer and a much easier one to implement in that moment. And that one question changes everything of that moment. All right. And I'll share some regulation skills in a minute. Number 3, remember, remember that regulation is a skill. It isn't a personality trait. And some people just haven't learned it yet. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to tell you some in a minute. Some people have spent years in survival mode, which is really sad but true. But the brilliant thing is your nervous system can learn just like your horse learns. And your horse can learn to regulate themselves a bit better too, which is also a magical thing. And when you change your nervous system, your horse experiences a different version of you. And this version of you is the one that they can come to rely on, the one that they can come to trust and feel safe with. Okay. So just to share very quickly, if you have noticed that you are feeling activated or you are bringing energy to the table, which is unhelpful to you and your horse, do something like take a big breath in. And as you let that breath out, do a horsey breath out. So go, that one where you you know what it is. I don't have to describe it to you. The noise, do that. Take a deep breath in. Do that. That's helpful. Shake out your hands. I don't know why I'm doing this now because you can't see me. Shake out your hands. Shake out your shoulders. Roll your neck. Maybe move your feet around a little bit. Maybe jump on the spot a little bit. Shake out your hands. Do another horsey breath. There you go. Top tip for you. Do that if you're not feeling great and it'll help. Okay. So hopefully that has resonated. Hopefully it's given you some helpful tools there or some helpful information. And if you know anybody who this would help, please share this with them. Because perhaps the next great evolution of horse welfare isn't another piece of equipment or another training method or something else for you to sign up to or another social media debate, because God knows people love those. Maybe it's just recognizing that caring for the human involved here and the human nervous system is actually caring for the horse too. Because when we create safer humans, and I mean safer from the horse's perspective, we then create safer horses. And that is a conversation that I personally believe needs a bit more attention. And so I've addressed that now. So if this episode resonated with you and you're not already following or subscribing to me, please do that so you don't miss a future episode. And it really, really helps me to have the podcast reach more riders who hopefully would like to hear these conversations. And if you would like to dive deeper into confidence, mindset, nervous system regulation for you and for your horse, then you will find links to all of my resources in the link in bio on my social media channels. So we've got TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and I am at the Horsemanship and Mindset Coach on all of those. And if you are ready for personalized support, you can also apply to work with me through the link in my bio. I actually only have a couple of spots left for the summer. So yeah, pop me an email. And or through the link in my bio, you can apply. And if you have any questions or you would like to chat about how I can help, or you have any suggestions for the podcast and things you would like me to talk about, please pop me an email. And until next time, remember, your horse does not need perfection from you. They just need a partner who is willing to understand both ends of the lead rope, to understand the horse better, to understand themselves better, and to just, take a breath, do the horsey sigh. You are winning. I hope this episode was helpful. and I will see you in the next one. Over and out.